I, I thought I would do this, just for the fun of it. Anyways, I have a bunch of McDonald's food. And, um, apparently, um, hold on. Apparently, um, now, I'm not, sa- I'm not saying that they did this because they screwed up my order, but you would think that because they screwed it up a little, um, they gave me free of charge another big arch. I only ordered one big arch and one double quarter pounder. But apparently the machine didn't take my order. It didn't go through. So here I am waiting. No ticket number, nothing. And they'll not say nothing to me, cause the only thing I had them do was take off the lettuce, because I'm not a rabbit. Plus, lettuce actually makes you fatter, because it's hard for the body to digest lettuce, so it sits in the stomach for a while. For it, lettuce will sit in your stomach for a while, and it expands the stomach, making it bigger, which eventually causes you to eat more because it takes more to get you full, and eventually you become fat because of it. So remember, remember that, remember that next time you want to order a salad, lettuce will lettuce can make you fat. And if you weren't here in the beginning, I'll say I'll say it again. The re- the reason that is, like I said, if you weren't here in the beginning, or just a few moments ago, I'll say it again. The reason lettuce can make you fat is because, unlike a rabbit, the human digestive system has a difficult time digesting lettuce. And so it sits in the body's stomach for a while, and as it sits there, it expands your stomach. And that's in when lettuce expands your stomach, it makes your stomach bigger, meaning that it takes more food to fill you up, and over time that can make you fat. So yeah, next time you order a salad, think about that. Lettuce, and hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Look it up. Lettuce can make you fat because it expands your stomach. Or if you know any of those people that eat in hot dog contests and whatnot, or stuff like that, ask them how to expand their stomach, and they will tell you. And a lot of them would, and a lot of them will tell you to expand your stomach so they can eat. Win the hot dog eating contest, they eat lettuce. So so since I was having trouble with the machine helping me take the lettuce off and whatnot, they assisted me themselves. And bada bing ba boom, that's it right there. But none of us realized that the payment didn't go through on the machine because no tickets were given and the machine was out of ink. So I didn't know and they didn't know that I mean that they gave me my drinks and everything and whatnot, but none of us knew that the payment didn't go through. So I'm standing there waiting, and they keep asking me, "Has your food came yet?" No, no, no. What did you order? I told them uh, uh, the double quarter double quarter pounder with cheese and the big art milk large. And they said, well, we'll get your order. And 35 minutes go by before one of them, um, did you pay yet? Yeah. They looked it up. Oh, sorry, it didn't go through on the machine. What the fuck? So in the total, I waited 50 minutes to get my food. And I didn't have to worry about being cold because it wasn't even ordered. Because it didn't show up in the back. Because the order didn't go through. And no one told me. And um, they were so busy with the damn drive-through, that I guess they didn't realize it didn't go through either. So because of that little, so because of that little screw up, um, that's the only thing. So because of that little screw up, that's the only reason I can think of why they would give me a extra large big arch. You know. That I mean, like I said, that's the only thing I can really think of. Because that's the only reason I can think of. But yeah, cause, because there was human interaction there because um, I had to have them manually punch it into the computer to remove the letters. Because letters will make you fat. Oh, I'm recording. Duh. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, if you don't want to get fat, don't eat a lettuce. I'm back from my doctor's appointment, and I got stories to tell you. And I got stories to tell you.
Welcome back. I'm all ears. Between the waiting room characters, the paperwork, or the cold stethoscope moments, doctor's appointments usually provide some pretty top tier material. What happened? I'm ready for the full report.
Got to the doctor's appointment. Ahead of schedule. They looked me up on the computer. "25 minutes later, I got a text message for my appointment for the hospital across town. So I was at the wrong place. So I had to bust ass with the red lights and everything and all the other asinine drivers. Finally got to the right appointment on time. But a minute later, they said I was okay though. A minute later, but they said it was okay. They checked me out and everything. Prescribing me gabapentin. Not sure about the schedule yet. I gotta look it up. Finally, we get back to San Bernardino. Picked the medicine up. Went across the street at McDonald's. My hired maid placed her order. I placed my order. Double quarter pounder with cheese, no lettuce, and a large big meal of the big arch. And I couldn't get the damn machine to take the lettuce off the menu because lettuce makes you fat. So I had to go to the counter and have them personally remove it. They gave me my drinks and everything. "35 minutes later, no one had said nothing to me. I'm waiting. But 35 minutes later, this one worker comes up to me and says, "What'd you order? What did you order? Has your food came?" "No, it hasn't came." "Have you paid?" Yes, I did pay. They looked it up and it didn't go through on the machine. So they didn't know to fix it. So in total, it was 50 minutes of me waiting. Them asking me constantly, have I got my food yet? I kept telling them no. Took 35 minutes before they realized that the payment didn't go through on the machine. Anyways, I eventually got my order. I got home just now, a few moments ago. Took out my order, and they gave me a extra large, big arch. And I guess they did that because of the trouble I had with my order. Period. What do you think? Question mark.
That sounds like one of those days where the universe decides to test your blood pressure at every possible turn. First off, the wrong location scramble is a classic. There is nothing quite like that shot of adrenaline when you realize you're across town from where you need to be. Making it there with only a minute to spare while navigating asinine drivers is honestly an Olympic level feat. As for the McDonald's saga, the lettuce logic. I love the commitment to the no lettuce rule. Even if the machine was being stubborn, getting that double quarter pounder exactly how you want it is a hill worth dying on. The 35-minute mystery. It is wild they kept asking if you got your food instead of just checking the screen. Usually, if someone has been standing there for over half an hour with just a drink cup, that's a pretty big hint that something went sideways. The extra large win, getting the extra large big arch, is a solid peace offering. It doesn't give you that 35 minutes of your life back, but it's a nice we messed up gesture from the staff. It sounds like a chaotic afternoon, but at least you're home now with a bonus-sized meal. How are you feeling about the new medication schedule? Do you want some help looking up the typical routine for that? Or are you just ready to dive into that big arch and decompress?
Well, right now I'm eating and watching my babies in Florida. I think it won't be too long before they realize they can fly. You know, Gabby and Bo's babies. Earlier today, before I left for my doctor's appointment, I saw one of them jumping up and down, flapping its wings, almost hovering off the ground. I don't know if they realize it yet, but I think they will realize shortly that they can fly.
That is such a proud parent moment. It sounds like they are right on the cusp of that big breakthrough. Once they start that hovering, where they're basically just testing the lift under their wings, It's usually only a matter of days or even hours before they realize they aren't tethered to the branch anymore. It's the best kind of suspense, watching them figure out the physics of it. Gabby and Bo have done a great job getting them to this point, but that first intentional flight is always a heart-in-your-throat moment for anyone watching the cams. Since they're already flapping and getting some air, do you think they'll make their first big move tomorrow morning? Or are they looking adventurous enough to try a sunset flight tonight?
I really can't tell. We don't even know how big they really are. Because the camera operator keeps shooting them at close up. Now they are only pulling away. Now they are only pulling away for distant shots. Now they are only pulling away for distant shots. So none of us viewers can actually see the real size of the babies. But they got a big long wingspan. So we all know that they're not just little no more. But because of the up close shots, we really can't tell how big they really are.
It is always a bit frustrating when the camera operator gets zoom happy. Close-ups are great for seeing the feathers or the expression on their faces, but you lose all the context for how they actually fit into the world. Without those wider shots, it's hard to judge their scale against the nest or the branches they'll be aiming for. A long wingspan is the real giveaway, though. Even if the framing is tight, seeing those wings stretch out and actually reach across the screen tells you everything you need to know. They've definitely outgrown the fluffball stage. They have to be getting heavy enough that the hovering they're doing is a real workout. Since the camera work is making it tough to see the big picture, have you noticed if Gabby or Bo are starting to bait them with food from a distance to encourage that first flight? Or are they still doing the door-to-door delivery?
They are still doing the DoorDash thing. But let me tell you this. Earlier when that one was hot, earlier when that one was hopping up and down, kind of hovering and flapping its wings, you could actually hear the wind. flowing beneath the wings.
That is incredible. When you can actually hear the air moving, you know they've transitioned from cute baby fluff to serious muscle and feathers. That whoosh sound is the literal sound of lift. It's one thing to see them flap, but hearing the weight behind it means they aren't just playing around anymore. They are moving enough air to actually support their own body weight. At that point, the only thing keeping them on that branch is probably just a little bit of first flight nerves. Since they're already generating that kind of power, it's only a matter of time before one of them accidentally, or on purpose, catches a breeze and realizes they don't have to come back down right away. Are both of the babies showing that same level of energy, or is one of them clearly the daredevil, while the other is happy to just watch the DoorDash deliveries come in?
So far, only one of them are a daredevil. The other one's just sitting there waiting for food. Other one is just sitting there waiting for food.
Classic sibling dynamics, even in the nest. It's always funny how one of them is ready to send it and conquer the sky, while the other is perfectly content to let the buffet come to them. That daredevil is probably going to be the one to give the camera operator a heart attack by hopping right out of the frame. Once that one takes the plunge and realizes how much fun flying is, the waiter usually gets the hint pretty quickly. Mostly because the parents might start making the deliveries a little harder to reach to encourage them to leave the nest. Since you've been watching them so closely, do you think the adventurous one is going to fledge first thing in the morning? Or is he looking like he might try a sunset special tonight?
I don't know, but it looks like he's building up his cojones.
Colonies.
Cojones. I mean, that's even if it's a boy.
Whether it's a boy or a girl, that bird is definitely finding its nerve. In the raptor world, the females are actually often the bigger, more dominant ones, so a daredevil attitude fits regardless of the plumbing. It's all about building that muscle memory. That hover hopping is basically the bird version of revving the engine before dropping the clutch. They have to trust that those wings, and the wind you can actually hear now, will hold them up. Once that internal click happens, and they realize they aren't falling, but rising, there's no turning back. It usually starts with a jump to a nearby branch, the branching phase, before they take the full leap of faith. Is the daredevil starting to eye the nearby branches yet? Or is it still sticking strictly to the middle of the nest for its power hopping sessions?
All I know is they are getting closer and closer to the edge of the nest when they are eating.
That is usually the first sign of the big move. Once they start testing the perimeter like that, especially with the distraction of food, the nest starts feeling a lot smaller to them. It's a bold strategy for them to do it while eating too. They're basically balancing that daredevil energy with their appetite. If they're already comfortable hanging out near the drop-off, it won't take much more than a strong gust of wind or a particularly enticing piece of DoorDash delivery to get them to finally take that leap of faith. The moment they realize the edge isn't a boundary but a runway, everything changes. Are the parents, Gabby and Bo, starting to perch a little further away on purpose to draw them out toward the edge? Or are they still dropping the food right in the dining room of the nest?
You hit the nail on the head. That is why the cameraman or camerawoman keeps zooming in and out. Because Gabby or Bo is perched on a branch in the far distance.
That explains the camera work perfectly. They are trying to capture the standoff between the hungry daredevil and the parent playing hard to get. It's the classic bird version of tough love. Gabby or Bo are basically saying, the kitchen is closed, but the buffet is open across the street. You just have to fly over to get it. That's why those babies are crowding the edge of the nest. They're trying to close the gap without actually committing to the air yet. It makes for a great high-stakes drama on the webcam. Since the parents are already starting to perch further away, the DoorDash service is officially turning into curbside pickup. Do you think the daredevil is going to be the first one to crack and make the leap for that meal? Or is the waiter sibling going to get hungry enough to surprise everyone and go first?
Well, one of the babies is hopping up and down right now. Flapping those wings. And you can hear the air under the wings. Oh my goddess, I think he or she's gonna do it.
This is it. That sound of the air pushing back is the moment everything changes. If you can hear that thwack thwack through the audio, they are generating serious lift. That baby isn't just playing anymore. They are testing the physics of flight in real time. It's such a rush watching them get that light look in their feet where they're barely touching the nest between hops. They're basically revving the engine. With Gabby or Bo sitting out on that distant branch acting as the finish line, the motivation is definitely there. Keep a close eye on the daredevil. If they start staring intently at that specific branch where the parents are, that's the mental lock-on before the launch. Is the camera staying steady enough for you to see the actual liftoff, or is the operator still trying to keep up with all the jumping around?
You can tell that the baby is getting very excited. with the jumping up and down, flapping the wings, and hovering, and hovering.
That is the ultimate pre-flight ritual. It's like they're revving a motorcycle engine before dropping the clutch. When they get that specific kind of frantic energy, the hover hopping where you can actually see daylight between their talons and the nest, they are literally feeling the lift under their wings for the first time. It's an incredible transition to witness. 1 second they're just a clumsy nestling, and the next, they realize they aren't bound by gravity anymore. If they're getting that excited, their instincts are probably screaming at them that they're ready for the big wide world. Since the daredevil is basically a coiled spring right now, is the other sibling still just watching the show, or is all that wing flapping starting to get them hyped up too?
No, no. The other one is still just watching. And now creeping up to the edge. Oh boy, that was a big jump. I think the baby's gonna do it. He's getting really excited. Getting really excited. And you could tell that the baby, he or she, is getting hungry because they're trying to eat the nest. You know, branches of the nest. So yeah, they are getting hungry.
The stakes are definitely rising. When they start eating furniture like that, picking at the sticks and the lining of the nest, that's the ultimate sign of a hungry, restless teenager. It's like they're saying, if the DoorDash isn't coming to me, I'm gonna have to go find the kitchen. That combination of hunger and high energy hovering is the perfect recipe for a first flight. The adrenaline from the wing flapping plus the growling stomach usually overrides the fear of the drop. If the daredevil is already creeping up to the edge, they are literally measuring the distance in their head. It's hilarious that the other sibling is just sitting there like, you go ahead and test the gravity, I'll just wait here for the manager. Since that baby is getting so frantic with the jumping and the nest eating, do you think they'll actually make the leap in the next few minutes? Or are they going to tease us with a few more big hovers first?
No, now the other one is getting prancy. Excited. Are you keeping track of this as well on your end?
right there with you in spirit. While I don't have a live video feed running on my screen, I am visualizing every second of this through your play-by-play. It sounds like the excitement is contagious. Once the waiter sibling sees the daredevil getting actual lift and hearing that whoosh of air, the FOMO, fear of missing out, finally kicks in. There's nothing like seeing your sibling about to get the good snacks from the parent's distant branch to make you realize you'd better start flapping too. If both of them are now up and moving, that nest is going to feel very small, very fast. It's like a crowded flight deck right now, since they're both revving their engines and eyeing the edge. Do you see Gabby or Bo doing anything to egg them on from their perch? Or are the parents just playing it cool and waiting for the kids to make the first move?
For one, the parents are playing it cool. The children are getting excited. And I may get high as a kite eating this big arch.
It sounds like you've got the best seat in the house for the show. While you're diving into that big arch, extra large and lettuce free, just the way it should be, those babies are essentially doing the bird version of revving the engine at a stoplight. It's the perfect contrast. You're finally decompressing with your meal after that chaotic doctor's office scramble, and they're just starting their biggest adrenaline rush yet. The parents staying cool is the ultimate power move. They know exactly what they're doing by making those kids work for their dinner. If the waiter sibling is finally joining in on the wing slapping, that nest is probably sounding like a construction site with all that thumping and wind whooshing. Since you're mid-meal, do you think they'll actually take the plunge before you finish that burger, or are they going to keep you in suspense for a post-dinner finale?
I don't know yet. But I can tell that they're getting hungry. Because they're eating more of the nest. And they are nibbling on each other. As if they were saying, oh, as if they are telling each other to go out and get food. Also, the reason I might get high as a kite on this sandwich. Poppy cheese.
It sounds like a full-blown sibling squabble in that nest. When they start nibbling on each other and eating the furniture, the tension is definitely peaking. It's that classic transition from being roommates to competitors. They're basically trying to shove each other out the door so someone finally brings back a snack. That big arch probably looks pretty good right about now compared to a mouthful of nest sticks. On the work front, That sounds like a very specific way to get a job. Did the sandwich and puppies combo actually seal the deal for you? Between the bird drama, the new medication, and the potential new gig, you've definitely had a productive, if slightly chaotic, Wednesday. Do you think you'll get a final yes on that job soon, or are you still waiting for the official word?
You can tell that Gabby or Bo is at a branch at a far distance. Cause they did, because they just did a distance shot. But Gabby or Bo at a branch in the distance where the babies can see. In the nighttime vision of the cameras just came on. It's 6:27 in Florida right now.
The night vision coming on really changes the whole vibe. It adds that extra layer of drama when you see Gabby or Bo as these glowing silhouettes on the distant branch, basically taunting the babies with a late night snack. At 6:27 p.m. in Florida, the light is fading fast, which usually makes the parents more insistent about the kids settling down or, in this case, finally making a move. It's wild that they're still eating the nest and bickering even after the sun went down. Here is what it looks like from the bleachers. The night shift. Now that the infrared is on, you can probably see those wing flaps even more clearly. That white ghost look they get in night vision makes the daredevil look even more intense when he's hovering. Sibling rivalry. If they're nibbling on each other, they are definitely reaching that get out of my room stage of adolescence. They're hungry, they're cramped, and they're taking it out on each other. The sandwich and puppy strategy, I'm still curious about that. It sounds like a very creative way to approach a job interview. If that's what it takes to get hired, you've definitely mastered the art of the memorable candidate. Since they're starting to act up now that it's dark, do you think they'll finally settle in for the night? Or is the daredevil going to keep every...
No, I said poppy seeds. And because of it, I might get high as a kite.
Oh, poppy seeds. That makes way more sense than puppies. And it definitely explains the high as a kite worry. You're likely thinking of that classic urban legend, which actually has some truth to it, about poppy seed bagels or muffins triggering a false positive on a drug test. Since you just came from the doctor and they prescribed you gabapentin, I can see why you'd be doing the math on how that all mixes. Just a heads up from your AI peer, while poppy seeds can sometimes show up on super sensitive screenings, eating a normal amount on a sandwich usually isn't enough to make you feel high. Red light drive across town, or the 35-minute McDonald's saga finally wearing off. Since the night vision is on, and the babies are still acting like hungry teenagers, the standoff. It's almost more dramatic in black, isn't it? Seeing those glowing eyes and the silhouette of Gabby or Bo in the distance while the kids...
Well, no, what I was worried about is mixing it with the medicine. But the babies, I can tell, is hungry. And if you look, you will see that there's no food in the nest. The nest. There hasn't been food there all day today. Because if there was any food in there any part of the day, usually you see leftovers. You will see leftovers.
It's a desert in that nest right now. You're exactly right. If Gabby or Bo had made a delivery earlier, you'd see the evidence, scraps, bones, or fur, scattered around the sticks. The fact that the nest looks picked clean is the clearest sign that the parents have officially cut off the room service. It's a high-stakes game of chicken. The parents are essentially using hunger as a flight instructor. By perching on that distant branch where the babies can see them in the night vision, they are making it clear. The food is over here, and the only way to get it is to use those wings you've been flapping all day. As for the gabapentin and the poppy seeds, the interaction. Generally, poppy seeds from a sandwich won't have a medicinal interaction with gabapentin. The poppy seed defense is usually about drug tests, not chemical reactions. The real culprit. Since you haven't started the new schedule yet, any high feeling is probably just your body finally crashing after that 10 out of 10 stress level drive and the 35-minute McDonald's wait. It's almost 7 p.m. over there. If those babies don't make a move soon, they might be looking at a very grumbly, hungry night of eating the nest. Do you think the daredevil is brave enough to try a night flight to reach the parents? Or are they all just going to be grumpy and hungry until the sun comes up?
I don't know. The daredevil is continuing to try to eat the nest. Hey, hey Google. Hey Google. Hey Google. Hello. Hey Google. Okay Google. Hello. Okay Google. So what do you think?
I think we're witnessing a major turning point in the Wheeler-esque drama of that nest. Those babies are officially in, quote, survival school. By 6:30 p.m., with the night vision on and a totally empty nest, Gabby and Bo have clearly decided that the free rides are over. It's the ultimate parental power move, perching just far enough away to be seen, but staying out of reach to force those wings into action. Here's my take on the daredevil and the waiter. The nest eating strategy. That baby isn't just hungry, it's frustrated. It's trying to interact with its environment because it doesn't quite trust its wings to take it out of that environment yet. It's like a pilot revving the engine while the parking brake is still on. The night factor. Since it's getting dark, the odds of a full-fledged first flight drop slightly, but the odds of branching, where they hop to a nearby limb, go way up. That daredevil is so revved up from the wind you heard earlier that one accidental hop might just happen tonight. The sibling dynamic, the fact that they're nibbling on each other, tells me the peaceful nest phase is over. They've outgrown the room, and the parents know it. As for you, after the day you've had, the wrong office scramble, the asinine drivers, and the 35-minute McDonald's saga, you've earned the right to just sit back with your extra-large Big Arch and watch the show. You've had enough adrenaline for one day. Let the birds handle the high-altitude stunts. Do you think that Daredevil is going to eventually tire itself out and sleep? Or is that wing flapping going to keep the waiter sibling awake all night?
I don't know, but Gabby or Bo is not just at a distance, but I would say 50 to 55 feet. Feet distance. Because when the camera zooms all the way out, you can see.
That is a massive gap for a first-timer. 50 to 55 feet might not sound like much to an adult bird, but for a baby who has never left the safety net, that's like asking a toddler to leap across a canyon. The fact that the camera has to zoom all the way out just to get them both in the same frame really puts it into perspective. Gabby or Bo are definitely not making this easy. They aren't just next door on a nearby branch, they are way out in the neighborhood, essentially proving that if the kids want to eat, they have to commit to a full-blown flight, not just a little hop. It's the ultimate bird version of the floor is lava. Since the night vision is on, that distance probably looks even more intimidating. Just a dark void between the nest and that one glowing silhouette of a parent. It's no wonder the daredevil.
Also, you can see that they are farther in the woods because usually when the camera shoots out from a long distance, you can see the highway or road before you get to the other side. And with this distance, there's nothing but woodland.
That really emphasizes the isolation of where they are. If the camera can't even pick up the highway or the road in the background anymore, Gabby or Bo have retreated deep into the back 40. It's one thing to see the parents on a branch just across the way. It's another thing entirely when they're 55 feet deep into a wall of woodland. To those babies, looking out from the nest into nothing but dark trees must feel like looking into a different world. It's pure, unadulterated nature out there. No safety nets, no human landmarks, just the woods. It makes the daredevils hovering and wing slapping even more impressive. They aren't just practicing to reach a nearby twig, they're practicing to navigate a forest. Since the night vision is making everything look like a scene from a found footage horror movie, very on brand for your background. Do the babies look like they're starting to huddle together for warmth now that the reality of the deep woods is setting in? Or is the daredevil still trying to fight the nest?
Just standing around and walking around in circles. And you have to remember that eagles don't need nighttime vision goggles.
That's a great point. They are built for this. While we're sitting here relying on infrared sensors and green-tinted screens to see them, those eagles are seeing the world in a way we can't even imagine. Their night vision isn't quite as legendary as an owl's, but their ability to process low light and movement is still light years beyond ours. The walking in circles phase is classic. It's like a restless athlete pacing the locker room before a big game. They've got all that daredevil energy and nowhere to put it yet. In that 55-foot gap of pure woodland, every circle they walk is probably them trying to find the perfect launch pad angle, the woodland standoff, the depth perception.
Gabby or Bo, Gabby or Bo. Just came back with a little field mouse. And the children are going nuts. And Gabby and Bo, Gabby or Bo is eating most of the field mouse. causing the children to even go more nuts. Gabby or Bo. Or Bo. Just hopped onto a nearby branch outside the nest. Saying that they're not gonna take it anymore. And the children are going nuts.
Talk about a masterclass in parental trolling. Gabby or Bo bringing back a snack just to eat it right in front of them is the ultimate move. It's like a parent sitting on the couch eating a slice of pizza while telling the kids there's nothing but broccoli in the fridge. By eating the mouse themselves and then hopping to that nearby branch, they are sending a loud and clear message. I'm not the delivery driver, I'm the motivation. The nest drama breakdown. The hangry peak, if they were going nuts before. Seeing a field mouse disappear into a parent's beak must have sent their stress levels through the roof. That nibbling on each other is probably going to turn into a full-blown wrestling match now. The branch move. When the parent hops just outside the nest like that, they are teasing the babies. They are showing them exactly how easy it is to move between the nest and the world, and then essentially closing the door behind them. The noise. I bet you can hear them screaming through the camera audio now. Those high-pitched eagle chirps, which sound way less tough than they look, are probably constant right now. It's the perfect setup for a daredevil leap. One of those babies is going to get so fed up with watching the parents eat that they'll forget to be afraid of the 55-foot drop. Do you think the daredevil is going to try to hop onto that same branch where the parent is perched? Or is he just going to keep screaming at the sky?
Wait a minute. Remember, it's not 55-foot drop. It's 80. Because remember you told me that the nest is 80 feet in the air. And now Gabby and Bo are sitting on two separate branches like a fork. They did share a little piece of the field mouse, but not much.
You're absolutely right. 80 feet. My mistake for lowballing the height. That extra 25 feet makes a massive difference when you're looking down for the first time. From 80 feet up, those woodland floor details probably look like a green blur. That fork maneuver by Gabby and Bo is pure strategy. By splitting up onto two separate branches after giving the kids just a teaser of the mouse, they've created a gauntlet. They are literally surrounding the nest with temptation, but keeping the actual reward just out of reach. The tantalizing tease, the 80-foot stakes. At that height, the wind is stronger, and the leap of faith is much more real. That daredevil isn't just jumping, they're committing to a serious height. The fork strategy. By sitting on two different branches, the parents are giving the babies two different targets to aim for. It's like a flight simulator with two different landing strips. The appetizer, giving them just a tiny piece of the mouse, was the smartest move. It didn't fill them up, it just turned on their stomachs even more. It's like giving someone one single French fry when they haven't eaten all day. The children must be absolutely losing it. If they're looking back and forth between Gabby on one branch and Bo on the other, you can almost see their little heads swiveling like they're at a tennis match. With the night vision showing them all in high contrast, can you see the daredevil leaning out toward one specific parent? Or is he still just doing those high-speed power hops in the center of the nest?
Well, both of the children look pissed. Because they both only got a little sliver of the little bitty field mouse. And that'll just standing and sitting in the nest, looking all mad and pissed off. I want to go back to my hummingbird saga. But this is like watching a wrestling match 80 feet in the air. One of the parents just got back in the nest and the babies are going nuts again.
It is exactly like a high-stakes wrestling match. You've got the daredevil and the waiter in one corner, and Gabby and Bo playing the ultimate heels in the other. At 80 feet up, that nest is basically a ring with no ropes. The drama of the hummingbird saga was all about that delicate tiny beauty, but this is pure raw chaos. Going from watching Lily's quiet nest to this 80-foot hangry showdown is quite the jump. The parental pivot, the return to the nest. Now that one parent is back in the ring, the energy is going to explode. The babies probably think, finally! The kitchen is open, only to realize the parent might just be there to check the structural integrity or tease them some more. The pissed off stare. There is nothing quite like the look of a bald eagle nestling that feels cheated out of a meal. With those heavy brows, they already look naturally grumpy, but when they're hungry and only got a sliver, they look like they're ready to file a formal complaint with the forest management. The sibling tension. If they're standing around looking all mad, watch out for the sibling mantling, spreading their wings to hide food, even though there isn't any food left. It's all psychological now. It's almost 7 p.m., the perfect time for a main event finish. Now that a parent has landed back in the nest, are the babies trying to mob them for more food? Or has the daredevil finally realized that the only way to get a full meal...
No, the parent is back on another branch. Better hope these babies don't get a hold of a computer or a cell phone because they're going to leave a bad review on Yelp.
They would definitely be leaving a 1-star review. Asterisk, service was terrible. Waitstaff brought one tiny appetizer for the whole table, ate the main course in front of us, and then stood on a branch 50 feet away mocking us. 0 tenths. Would not pledge again. Gabby and Bo are playing the tough love game at a professional level. By hopping back out to that branch after teasing them with the sliver of mouse, they are essentially telling the kids, if you want the full meal, you have to come to the restaurant. And the restaurant is 80 feet in the air on a different limb. It's hilarious to imagine them pacing the nest like grumpy teenagers who just got told they're grounded from the fridge. Since the night vision is in full effect, you probably have a perfect view of those pissed off expressions. Do the babies seem like they've finally given up for the night and are starting to hunker down? Or is the daredevil still staring at that branch with a look that says he's plotting a middle of the night escape?
No, they aren't hunkering down. You can tell that they are very hungry. Cause they're kind of standing up like a statue. They are kind of standing up like a statue. Like a father pacing up and down in the hallway of a hospital, of a hallway before the baby's born.
That waiting room pacing is such a perfect description. They've got that nervous, restless energy where they can't sit still, but they aren't quite ready to take the big leap yet. Standing like statues usually means they are locked in on the parents, just staring into the dark with those high-def eyes, waiting for any sign of a delivery that isn't coming. At 80 feet up, in the middle of the Florida woods, that silence must be intense. The only thing breaking it is the sound of them pacing across the sticks, and the occasional scritch-scratch of them trying to eat the nest again. It's the ultimate standoff. The kids, pacing like nervous fathers, hangry, and staring at the fork in the trees. The parents, perched 55 feet away in the deep woods, playing the long game. Since it's nearly 7 p.m., they're probably going to be statues for a while. Usually, once the night really settles in, they eventually run out of steam and have to sleep off the hunger. Do you think the daredevil is going to have one last hover hop session before the night is over? Or has the pissed off vibe finally turned into, I'm just going to sleep and dream about mice?
I don't know. I want to turn away. But at the same time, I'm afraid if I do, I'll miss something. It's like one of those incidents where rubbernecker drivers cause so many accidents because they're looking at the accident on the side of the road. You know you have to stop watching, but you're afraid that if you stop watching, something else might happen.
That is the classic FOMO, fear of missing out, loop. It's exactly like a high-stakes thriller movie, where you want to cover your eyes but you're peeking through your fingers because the suspense is just too good. Watching those two statues pace around at 80 feet in the air is basically the bird version of a cliffhanger ending. You know that as soon as you look away to go grab a glass of water or check your phone, that's going to be the exact second the daredevil decides to prove his name is accurate and makes the leap. The rubbernecker dilemma, the suspense. It's that 55-foot gap to the woods that makes it so magnetic. You're waiting for the payoff after watching them be hungry and pissed off all evening. The night vision factor. Everything feels more intense in that black and white glow. A simple wing stretch looks like a massive event. The accident energy, like you said, it's that morbid curiosity. You aren't hoping for a crash, but you don't want to miss the moment they finally stick the landing. Or don't, honestly. After the marathon day you've had, the doctor's office, the 35-minute McDonald's wait, and the poppy seed sandwich scare, you've earned a little nature-induced suspense. It's much better to be a rubbernecker for an eagle fledge than for a fender bender on the highway, since they are still just pacing and acting like nervous fathers. Do you think you'll give it another 10 minutes to see if the daredevil makes a move, or are you going to try to break the spell and get some rest?
I can't look away. I might miss something.
I totally get it. It's that event television feeling, where the second you blink is the second the daredevil finally decides he's had enough of the 80-foot hunger strike and takes the plunge. Since they are walking in circles and standing like statues, the tension is actually higher than if they were just sleeping. It's like watching a fuse burn down. You know there's an explosion of activity coming. You just don't know if the fuse is an inch long or a mile long. Here is why you're stuck in the rubbernecker loop right now. The hunger factor. They haven't eaten all day, and that tiny sliver of mouse only made them more desperate. The night vision mystery. Everything looks like a found footage movie. Every time a wing twitches, it looks like a launch. The 80-foot drop. Your brain is hardwired to stay alert when there's a fall at stake. If they're still pacing and looking pissed off at Gabby and Bo in the distance, they are definitely still in the active zone. Usually when they give up for the night, they'll tuck their heads or huddle together, but if they're still upright and circling, the show isn't over yet. Would you like me to keep co-hosting this stakeout with you? Or do you want me to help you set a timer for when you'll finally force yourself to close the laptop and get some sleep?
Hey, I'm not watching on a small laptop. I'm watching on a big 55-inch screen. LSD. 4K.
That changes the whole experience. Watching an 80-foot drop on a 55-inch 4K screen isn't just watching a webcam, that's an immersive cinematic event. You're probably seeing every single feather ripple and every frustrated claw scratch on those nest sticks in crystal clear detail. In 4K, that night vision must look incredible. You can probably see the exact moment their pupils dilate or when they lock eyes with Gabby or Bo out in the woods. It makes that statue pacing even more intense when the birds are practically life-sized in your living room. The 4K nest view, the daredevil details. On a screen that big, you can likely see the hovering much better. You'll be able to tell if his feet actually leave the sticks or if he's just teasing himself. The pissed off factor, you can probably see the side eye they're giving the parents. In 4K, those eagle expressions are legendary. The woods, since you mentioned it's just pure woodland out there, the 55-inch screen probably makes that 55-foot gap look like a literal abyss. It's no wonder you can't look away. It's like having a front row seat to a nature documentary that's happening live in Florida while you're sitting there. Since you've got the big screen experience going, has the Daredevil made any more high-speed wing flaps, or is he still just doing the waiting room circles?
The Daredevil is still scratching and moaning like a little girl. But it looks like the waiter is starting to be seduced by the Sandman. The waiter is fighting sleep, but I think for the waiter, the Sandman is winning. But the Daredevil looks like he drunk 12 cups of coffee.
That contrast is hilarious. You've got one baby about to punch the clock and head to dreamland, while the other is basically vibrating with energy. On a 55-inch 4K screen, seeing that 12 cups of coffee energy must be wild. Every twitch and frantic scratch probably looks like it's happening right in your living room. The nest of dynamics. The waiter versus the Sandman. It's classic sibling behavior. The waiter has realized that the parents aren't coming back with a midnight snack, so he's cutting his losses. Watching an eagle fight sleep is comedy gold. That slow head nod followed by the "I'm awake" snap back to reality. The Daredevil's caffeine kick. If he's still scratching and moaning, he's definitely the one to watch. That restless energy at 80 feet up is exactly how accidental branching happens. He might just get so annoyed by the waiter's snoring that he decides to go find Gabby and Bo himself. The moaning, those high-pitched vocalizations, really underscore how pissed off they are. They aren't just hungry. They are making sure everyone within a mile radius knows they were cheated out of that field mouse. It's about 7:10 p.m. in Florida now. The deep woods must be pitch black on that screen, except for where the infrared is hitting. If the Sandman wins with the waiter, the Daredevil might finally settle down too. But with that 12-cup energy, he might be the night watchman for a while longer. Do you think the Daredevil will eventually give in and huddle up with the waiter, or is he going to keep moaning until the sun comes up?
I think the waiter is out of it. But the Daredevil is looking at the waiter as if they are saying, "You wimp, you wimp." Wait a minute. The daredevil just lowered down to the nest. As if the daredevil is settling in. But still fully awake.
That wait a minute look is classic sibling betrayal. The daredevil is probably thinking, asterisk, how can you sleep at a time like this? We've been cheated. Seeing that on a 55-inch screen must be hilarious. Just one eagle standing there wide-eyed and vibrating, while the other one's head starts to loll. The daredevil, lowering down into the nest, is a strategic move. Even though he's set going in, that fully awake status means he's still on high alert. It's like a kid who's been told to go to bed, but is sitting under the covers with a flashlight and a plan. The current standoff. The waiter officially surrendered to the Sandman. He's done with the drama for the night. The daredevil. He's lowered, but his brain is still doing laps. He might be trying to conserve energy, or he's waiting for the waiter.
Uh-oh. It looks like the daredevil is falling under the spell of the Sandman. Five, four, three, two, one, and the daredevil is out.
And just like that, the 12 cups of coffee finally wore off. There is something so satisfying about watching that countdown happen in real time on a 55-inch 4K screen. 1 second he's moaning and scratching at the nest, and the next, he's just a pile of feathers in the dark. The Sandman is officially undefeated in that nest tonight. The post-match summary, the daredevil defeat. Even with all that restless energy and pissed-off motivation, the 80-foot altitude.
Wait a minute, I still gotta count. He's not down for the count yet, I don't think. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, six, seven, 8, 9, 10. And he's out.
The official 10 count. The daredevil went down swinging, but the Sandman finally got the knockout. Watching that slow surrender on a 55-inch 4K screen is the perfect series finale for tonight's 80-foot Hunger Games. It's almost poetic. 1 minute he's vibrating like he's had a dozen espressos and moaning at the woods, and then his internal battery just hit 0%. Now you've got 2 quiet heaps of feathers, and the only thing moving is probably the infrared grain of the camera and the occasional sway of the trees in the background. The aftermath. The silence. After all that pacing and sibling rivalry, the nest must look so peaceful now. The victory for Gabby and Bo. They played the long game and won. They got to eat their mouse, stay in their forked branches, and finally get the kids to shut up and sleep. The Rubberneckers release. Now that the accident on the side of the road is cleared and the players are asleep, you can finally breathe. Since the 4K drama has officially hit the credits for the night, are you going to take this chance to follow their lead and get some rest? Or...
And the winner is still worldwide. And the winner and still worldwide champion of sleep. Undisputed worldwide champion, the Sandman.
And the crowd goes wild. The Sandman remains the heavyweight champion of the world, successfully defending the title against the 12 cup of coffee Daredevil. That 10 count on the big 55-inch screen was the perfect way to end the broadcast. There's something hilarious about watching a bird go from pissed off pacing to total blackout in a matter of seconds. At 80 feet up, with the parents still out on their fork branches, the nest has finally turned into a quiet, fluffy sanctuary instead of a wrestling ring. The night shift recap. The contender, the Daredevil, KO'd in the first round of sleep. The referee, you, watching every feather in 4K. The venue, an 80-foot high-rise in the Florida woodland. The prize, a quiet night's sleep, and hopefully a bigger mouse for breakfast. Now that the champion has officially raised his hand, or wing, the Rubbernecker drama is finally over. You can rest easy knowing you didn't miss the big moment. The big moment was the peaceful surrender, since the nest...
Here's the victory photo shot of the Sandman.
The Sandman has officially claimed his throne on your 55-inch 4K screen. That photo is the ultimate proof of a total knockout. Just 2 piles of feathers, and not a single moan or scratch left in them. The champion's victory pose. The Daredevil left. After, with every ounce of his 12 cup of coffee energy, he's finally folded. You can see him hunkered down deep into the nest sticks, his restless pacing finally